Okay. Doing something a little bit different here today, especially how to record this. But we are back, and it's been a minute for a few reviews, really. But we wanted to come back for Money in the Bank, WWE, Los Angeles, California. A lot of shows going on, I should say, this weekend in the world of wrestling, with WWE having two on the same day. But we're gonna stick with Money in the Bank right here. So let's get right into it. First off, let's introduce my co-host for today.
All right, yep. It's me, Straight Face 40, back with the Money in the Bank review. Um, yeah, let's get it.
Yes, Los Angeles, California, and the Intuit Dome. We do kick it off with the women's Money in the Bank match first. Naomi versus Rhea Ripley versus Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Stephanie Vicaire versus Alexa Bliss. One thing I do want to kind of note, it wasn't really a lot of people in this building kicking off this show. I saw a lot of empty seats, and I don't know if it was just people being late to the building or something, but it was kind of that throughout a lot of the night. And in a way, WWE can't really say they sold out because they really didn't say they sold out. But then again, with the prices of WWE costing you an arm and a leg, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people did not show up. But I noticed very visible because I know the Intuit Dome has those like lights on the seats and stuff, but you can kind of see there wasn't really a lot of people. Then again, I heard nosebleeds was like $300-400 if you look that up. Um,
Wow, $300 for some nosebleeds?
yeah, no, seriously, a lot of people point that out. I heard like three to four hundred
Crazy.
dollars for nosebleed seats.
I can't do that. I'd just rather sit at home if that's the case.
Yeah, WWE, like with all the advertisements going on nowadays in WWE and just the insane amount of ticket prices. Like, and it's in LA too. Like, come on, let's remember back during January and Netflix how they kept bragging about the gate, and I've said it before. How many people really bought these tickets? Celebrities or rich folks? Because that's kind of looked like it was being catered towards too. Because I feel like it costs you an arm and a leg with WWE prices nowadays. Hey, 40 grand for SummerSlam tickets apparently, but um, you can't be surprised if everybody ain't got the money to go to these shows because it's really gotten expensive now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, Bryce. That is ridiculous.
Was I just
Uh,
noticed when this show began, and I know LA traffic is very, very bad. I have friends that can sit there and tell you that, but I just kind of quite interesting that throughout half the night you didn't see a lot of people. Like, I don't know if you noticed it, but I I um I really didn't see a lot of people. Uh
I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't really paying attention to the crowd, but as you talking about it, it kind of put the pictures in my head. Like I didn't really see it either.
because I noticed that from the bat. This Money in the Bank match though, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was kind of I don't know. It's different from the car wreck we got last year because I feel like last year, yes, it was a botch fest, and then again, it was a lot of botches here. But I feel like they tried to be more of a safe, controlled with the ladders. Even though I thought the worst thing I kind of saw from here is when what was it? Uh, Perez and Julia put Rhea in the ladder and tried to sandwich her, and then did you see when like threw the tall ladder on top of her and it didn't even touch her and just bounced off the rope and went back? Like it looked kind of really weird. I was kind of wondering like what were they really doing here? Um, I had noticed that. Like like
Yeah,
like did you?
yeah. I was, of course, I did. You know, I did. Yeah, it was just some of the stuff that maybe cringed a little bit. You know, I felt like you said, I felt like they had a better match than last year, but at the same time, it was like, y'all get it better, but it's still botchy.
Yeah, and going throughout this match, like obviously Rhea was probably the most over here. Hell, Stephanie was working double duty today because earlier in the day was the Worlds Collide show and stuff. But kind of just looking at what the ladders, everybody setting up the ladders to the top. Um, I don't know, Naomi did like a power bomb on Stephanie off the ladder, which was pretty good. Um, one big spot, I should say, was the bridge ladders, which obviously they kind of had to try to synchronize at the same time. But what was it like Roxanne and like Julie, I believe, or was it Bliss doing like the code red and trying to balance themselves as careful as they could with the bridge and stuff and hitting the move. Um, which it didn't look bad, but it's like they were like trying their best to like make sure the ladders don't fall.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously Stephanie doing the devil's kiss. All you need was Booker T. Yeah, you know the move. The ha
Uh-huh.
ha 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 ha. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that was decent though. I ain't gonna need a lie to you, on the on top of that ladder bridge, that was kinda good.
No, yeah, it was that like it wasn't bad, but like it was taking a minute to really like set up the move. And I know they had
Yeah.
basically come back after being buried in the ladders, just taking out everybody, just knocking them all over the place, throwing them around. I know it kind of came to like towards the end. It was like Ripley and Bliss basically trying to get up the ladder and stuff, brawling, and Naomi just basically pushed them down, and she climbed up the ladder and won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Which honestly, going into this, I figured Naomi was gonna win anyways. Like I already told you, I predicted that because like I look at everybody else in this match, Rhea definitely don't need it. Um,
No.
like they already booked Rhea like a world beater most of the time. Bliss, I kind of knew she wasn't gonna get it anyways. Like even though she's won it before, I knew they weren't gonna give it to any of the women that just got called up from NXT. I just never saw it happening. And then again, when you kind of got teasing Julia going after the U.S. women's belt now, it's like okay, so you already know she ain't gonna win. Stephanie just literally got to the main roster, and I know she's very popular right now, but she wasn't gonna win. They weren't gonna give it to the squirrel there, Roxanne. So I knew she wasn't gonna get it either. So Naomi, which given her heel turn in recent times and being all unstable and dressing like Owen Hart and stuff, with the caution danger thing and all that, this was the most logical choice. I thought the finish was kind of anticlimactic though, like. It was almost like, say, okay, get knocked off the ladder and steadily take your
I
time.
would wait.
And nothing really dramatic towards the end. So I feel like the right winner won, though.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I felt the same way, Brace. I was waiting for somebody to come up and hit her. Like, I was like, all right, somebody come up. I guess she about to win. Because I was looking like seems so flat. What's going on here? But oh yeah, going back to the can I mention this right quick?
Go ahead.
Um, going back to the if Money in the Bank was sold out. I had looked up online and everything. It wasn't. It wasn't. And you wasn't the only one. They said people on Reddit during the first hour especially was saying it was like they were seeing 50 to 60% empty seats in the first hour. But everybody speculated that was due to LA traffic being a factor. But they said it wasn't completely sold out, but it was a nice house though. I think they
Yeah.
said it was 17,000 at the
Later
eight.
on, I feel like I saw the
Mm-hmm.
people. But then again, it's like, why did this show start early at 6 o'clock then? Well, I guess in our time, I know it's a different time in LA, but why not start it at 7 if that's the case? Because it just looked really strange. I'm like, damn, we kicking off a show and there's nobody barely here, and it's not like people weren't just entering the building, like they're already in the building.
Right. But yeah, they said that's what they were saying. But but going back to the match. I felt like the right winner won. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you broke everything down. What I was going to say, the two NXT women wasn't gonna go for it. I mean, wasn't gonna win it. They just got there. Stephanie very popular, but I think, I'm going to ask a question later on. I mean, later on after this part right here, what I'm going to say about Stephanie. But yeah, going to Julia. Julia looked like she going for the U.S. Championship. Um, and the other women, they truly don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like Rhea don't need it, Alexa Bliss don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was only. it was only really if you want to surprise the hell out of us, you could probably give it to Roxanne. You know what I'm saying? Surprise us. But I still did think she was going to win, and so it has to be Naomi. But what I'm going to ask about Stephanie, um, she is very popular. I had watched that AAA show before Money in the Bank, and she is very popular. You know, so how long does you take with this Bird Girl feud versus uh versus Becky? How long do you take? Because we already see that you probably can have a good feud with Stephanie and Becky. You know what I'm saying? Two popular people. Um, you could definitely turn Becky heel against Stephanie because people actually care about Stephanie. You know, just to be honest with you, people actually care about Stephanie. So you could definitely turn Becky heel with it. So how long do you take to get to that feud?
I think it will happen, but I think the Bird Girl and Becky thing will have one more match, and we'll get to it when we get there. But I think it'll probably be another match with them. But I do feel like the same thing, like you talking about with Stephanie going against, possibly maybe going against Becky if they go there. That's how I feel about with Julia going after the women's US because let's be honest, don't nobody give a crap about Vega as the champion right now. And she's faced literally she's been in like one feud this entire time as the champion that goes on forever against Green and crew. So just give Julia the damn US women's belt at this point because Vega is not over at all. Like it's like crickets every time. She like nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I think the crazy part about it, I think they want to book Julia as a heel because it's something, especially what she did to Vega. Um, after the U.S. I mean, not after the U.S. match, after that whatever they called it, Bridgeport street fight, whatever she had with who was it, Piper Nivens.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think they want to book her as a heel, but here's the thing: going back to Becky and Bird Girl, nobody cares about Vega. At least they a little bit care about Bird Girl over Vega. But it's like you want to turn a heel, nobody gonna care. They probably a cheer if you take the belt off of her. Like, oh, thank God you took the belt off of Vega. She like, you got to read the room, and so it's like, yeah. If you want to turn a heel, you have to turn a heel versus somebody else who people care about.
And I was under the impression, I think I may have said this before. I feel like I was under the impression they gave her the U.S. women's belt because Black came back to the company.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if he got that much pull
I felt
because
that was to appease him in some type of way.
well, appease him, man. The man was running back to y'all. You ain't need to appease him. He was running back to y'all with open arms. he, he, you ain't need to entice him with anything.
But yeah, he wanted to go back.
He right. He wanted to go back. You ain't need to entice that man with anything. So
Uh,
yeah, I just think I just think they like Vega. People in the back really do like Vega for some unknown reason, and that's why they gave it to her, just to see if something will work. But like you said, every time you hear her music, you you only hear the music, and you're like, shit. It's like, eh, how you know these? How you not hear a peep from nobody? Nobody talking, nothing. They complete silence. So yeah, there was a great move by giving Naomi the money in the bank. She could set up a lot of feuds with that. Julia got to take the belt off of Vega instantly.
Rhea will
Uh,
go back to fighting EO.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Uh,
everything can go back to normal.
Naomi, I do think she will cash in on Tiffany at some point, and either that or we got the whole King and Queen of the Ring tournament coming up. So I'm not saying like Jade gonna be the one to win and beat Tiffany at whatever Blood Money show is coming up. I think that's where King of the Ring is supposed to be, and Naomi will cash in right after. Like I feel like something like she's gonna cash in, and it's either probably gonna end up going against Jade or hell, probably end up going against Bianca. Like Naomi will get the title and feud with one of them, or it ends up being some triple threat match or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt about it. I wanted to throw in a little wrinkle because that's what I was thinking here. Um, Jay can win the Queen in the ring. Here's the thing, because if you can, let me just predict the field for SmackDown. You know what I'm saying? Let me just predict SmackDown field, SmackDown side of the tournament. We probably have Charlotte, Alexa Bliss, you know, Nia Jax, Nate,
Julia,
Julia, probably Vega, and Jay Cargill. Now, out of all those people I just named, who would make sense of a like a good um Queen in the Ring? It would be Jade. Alexa don't need it. Nia won it last year. Charlotte don't need nothing. Absolutely nothing right now.
Bianca's still hurt, I believe.
Bianca still hurt, like you just said.
But
Yup.
then people probably gonna look at that like, well, she don't need nothing either because they feel like she has enough.
I mean, not as much as
Well,
Charlotte.
yeah, not as much as Charlotte, but
Well,
we've seen people turn on Bianca because they already feel like, oh, she's got too much.
Like, man, I would if she was ready, because that would be the better one. That would be the better feud going into like SummerSlam. You know, Naomi winning the championship, and then or not Naomi, Bianca winning the championship, and Naomi coming in cashing it in on her. I feel like that's a better one. You
Well, yeah,
know,
because they probably will have a match at Well, then again, wait, she have to win the tournament there, then probably
go to the
what
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, yeah, because whoever wins these tournaments, they go to SummerSlam and face for the title, and then it'll probably be a cash in through there, or going into SummerSlam and maybe a cash in. Either cash in happens at SummerSlam or going into SummerSlam. But I don't see Tiffany being as the champion for too long. I feel like I'm already on the fence when it comes to Tiffany Stratton. It's like a up down type of thing.
Yeah, I think she very popular. Don't get me wrong, but I feel the same thing. Like I don't see the popularity, like what the appeal is. That's why it's probably just me, but I don't know. I just don't see the appeal. I see she very athletic. Um, she don't really say much that could be like, man, she be spitting bars on the mic. Like she don't
It's Tippy
really
time!
say,
It's Tippy
r-
time! It's Tippy time!
like she got a catchphrase. That's good. You always that's good at wrestling. You can get a catchphrase over. It could be on your shirt, merchandise, all that good stuff. But at the same time, it's like I don't, it's just not for me. She's just not for me. Uh,
But no, I just always felt like it's an up and down thing. It's like I don't mind too much, but I do kind of wonder. I don't know if it's because of being a face champion. I'm not sure because I didn't mind her heel work in NXT at the time, but it's like I said, it's an up and down thing for me. So that's how I look at it. But let's move on, no. And I'm gonna be honest, I did not really pay much attention to this match, given this was like booked earlier, like 3 hours before this show. But Dominic versus Octagon Jr. for the Intercontinental title. And listen, man, I've only seen Octagon Jr. on TNA most of the time. And I guess he's part of the AAA roster, but this match barely even went 5 minutes. Okay, like I really did not pay attention to this. I didn't care, and I know they showed the other AAA guys, and sitting in the crowd like the Iguana dude and Vikingo and Conan. But it's like Dominic versus just it was just so random they added this match because well we gotta get 5 matches on this card, so we only had 4 before, so let's add another one. just because. And it's like, dude, I did not care, and I don't think anybody in this crowd really knows who any of these AAA guys are unless they went to the to the damn Worlds Collide show early in the day. Because I was like, why is this even a match on this show at the last second? So I was like Dominic won, but it was like it was literally whatever against what I was like Pentagon Junior, Octagon Junior, Hexagon Junior, Polygon Junior, whatever it is. But I did not care about this. This was one of those things like it just came, went by, and that's where I'm gonna keep it short and sweet here.
Oh yeah, man, I gonna keep it just as short, for real. I saw the match was made more, when I saw the Triple A show. Got a big pop. Got a surprise out of me. You know what I'm saying? When I heard it, then once you know how things once you get that initial reaction out of the way, you sit down and think about it. It's like, oh well, this match don't even matter. You know, it had a little good. Well, how many minutes do you think they went?
They really went under 5 minutes. I looked up the time; it was under 5 minutes.
See, they had a little good under 5 minutes little match back and forth, bing, 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 bing. Quick little, they quick, they fast, get it out the way. And I guess it was one of those things that back to the Triple H bucket pay-per-views. You only got X amount of matches. You ain't even think about the other matches. You know what I'm saying? You only thought about tag team and women intercontinental, the two money in the bank. And you knew you needed a fifth because that's what your match that's how many matches you do, and you ain't even think about it. You ain't even think the book probably to continue to book Dominic and Finn, but I guess that feud go. I mean, that feud going to happen eventually. We all know that. It's just I don't know. It's just it was a nothing match to me. It was a I really wasn't paying no attention. I don't know.
I'll say this: like, did you at least like enjoy the AAA show early in the day? I'll just ask that real fast.
Hold on. To be honest with you, um, you know, I I enjoyed it, but I can't see myself watching that side of wrestling a lot. Luchadors are fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I think to me, I think they are fun to watch in little bits at a time, type of thing. I enjoyed the show, but it just wasn't my thing throughout the whole night. Just sitting there throughout the whole night watching it. You know, and I say what I can say though. To be honest with you, the show that we reviewing, it's a third best show that I watched the whole weekend. That's going behind the AAA show and all
Against all odds.
against all odds. Real talk. This show right here that we reviewing wasn't all that. You know, just to be perfectly honest here.
Oh, because we'll get to why people I've seen now think this was a perfect show when it really wasn't. And
What?
I've seen even me and Steve was talking about. He said people was already giving it like a 8 out of 10, 9 out of
My,
10.
I gave it a 4 out of 10. If we do a real
Niggas
talk,
relied on the ending too much, and we'll get to that. We're gonna
we'll
get.
get to we'll get to that. But even the ending, I still give it a 4. And that's because of that. To be honest with you, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I enjoyed the show though, Bryce. My bad.
I will say one thing before we move on. I just think it's kind of funny. Both WWE and AEW are like having to promote like two like all Mexican luchador shows, which WWE, AAA, and AEW is doing it with CMLL. And I'm kind of like Steven, what he told me. Like nobody's really gonna care about a lot of these guys once these shows passed. We just got to put all these random luchadors on WWE and AEW television and try to get you to care, but won't really care right after.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Steven. I totally agree because here's the thing. That's what they will try to do with Octagon Jr. Try to make sure we still care. You know what I'm saying? Even after the AAA show, we gonna still have one of these guys on the main show, y'all. Y'all still gonna watch one. And to be honest with you, I'm sorry. I'm no disrespect to any wrestler. I ain't trying to disrespect the man, but my goodness, you could hear a pin drop when you heard Octagon Junior music come out on Money in the Bank. I mean, my goodness, that should let you know, right then and there. Like you probably gonna have to build some of this up, but it all depends on the marketing you do and some of the matches that we get to see from um from Triple H. I mean Triple A. But here's the thing, like that. Remember the first match they had the 6-man tag team match on the Triple A show.
Yeah,
See, a lot of that stuff that they were doing, I don't think you know, I don't think casual watchers of wrestling would get into that type of stuff. Like especially with the Laguana dude with the puppet in his hand and all that stuff,
yeah.
people would see that as silly. That's why Conan was trying his best. I don't know if you really was listening to Conan. But Conan was trying his best to make sure we understand, like, hey, hey, dude is legit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He, a Muay Thai, practice. He practiced Muay Thai, all that stuff. He tried to get us to take him seriously after seeing what we was looking at. That he even knew that, man, some of these people who were watching probably look at it as being silly, you know. And I don't think we could get exposed to that at first, and then turn around and take them seriously afterwards. That's what I'm saying.
I get what you mean. Like it's like you said earlier, like you're either gonna really like this, but I don't know how many casual fans are gonna be turned on. And given it's LA and they have a very huge Latin market, it really works for them, being in that area and stuff. So
Right.
it's a huge Latin market in LA. And it's like when like I said, it's either you're gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. Because I felt like going to shows like just WWE Lucha guys versus AAA Lucha guys. Like most of the matches, really. That's what I kind of felt throughout most of the day while watching that show.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. It was a great mix of both. I say the best match of that whole show was that Fatal 4-Way.
I agree.
That Fatal 4-Way was busted. And I really, really like that one. I think the second one goes to the girls because they had a little, a slip up at first. They were trying to get Stephanie, I
Lola.
forgot, yeah, Stephanie and Lola, and I like that match. That was my second favorite. But the whole night, don't get me wrong, the whole night was good. It was a good showing. Triple A. But here's the thing, like you just said, and you and Steven said, how many people was going to care once we stop watching these guys? Are we gonna go to wherever you go? Let's just say they have a show. You know what I'm saying? A weekly show. Are we going to go watch that weekly show like we watch SmackDown, Raw, and NXT?
Yeah, that's a good question. And AAA is its own thing, but I have to remember, like, let's remember these people got bought out. This ain't a partnership. They got bought out.
All out, right?
Y'all basically WWE property.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing with that. So yeah, I don't know how many people are gonna go and watch AAA after. So yeah, it makes you wonder. But let's move on though. The Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkiriya. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. The match, I'm not surprised Becky won. I figured Becky was gonna win. I will say doing the manhandle slam multiple times and kind of not saying they didn't know so her finisher, but like just getting hitting the manhandle slam in the ring, then hitting the manhandle slam on the outside to the ground and somehow still getting up. Like I don't know, it comes kind of redundant after a while. And it wasn't a bad match or anything, but I don't really know how much the people care. And I feel like Becky was just doing, like I said last time at Backlash, I feel like she was doing her best to get this over, being a heel just so the people can get behind the face. Because there were let's go Becky chants and let's go, Becky sucks chants, but it's just like going into this, and I feel like it's gonna be a third match now because Becky won by like holding on to the tights to actually get the win. But in a way, I was just kind of like, it's like I was watching the match, but I was starting to kind of zone in and out a little a couple times here and there. But I just knew Becky was gonna win because like I said, Bird Girl was not. I felt like yeah, she was the champion and all that, but I felt that she really setting the world on fire with this women's intercontinental title, and I felt like Becky having it right now will elevate it in a way, just giving her her name status. I know someone gonna say like, does she really need a secondary title? No, but we need people to care about this title.
Yeah, I remember my first idea was to give it to to like somebody like a Bailey or a Becky or you know what I'm saying, somebody who could carry the title first. People could look at it and be like, oh wow, you know, Becky Lynch is the Intercontinental Champion. You know, people gonna be paying attention to the matches. People gonna be paying attention to the feud. Would turn around and gonna make that title feel like something that we have to watch. No matter who holds the title, but like, all right, cool. Well, this is the Intercontinental Championship. That means, this should be a good match or this should be a good feud. Um, of course, we all knew that Becky well, Becky was gonna win and everything. Um, people, you could tell that people still they own the fences with Lyra. That's what it is. They own the fences. They don't really understand the character too much. You know, they it,
And
they
the
don't really.
promos ain't been all that.
And right, the promos ain't been all that. And even yesterday with her, I can't believe her, Bryce. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? When she even did that little fired up, beat Becky up with those little two moves, and then left her in the ring when she walked out. I can't even believe that she a badass enough to do that. You know what I'm saying? I just, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just the believability with her. I don't believe she is a badass or she tough. And you know what I'm saying? I just don't believe it.
And even after when Becky was telling Lyra like, "Hey, hold my arm up, put the championship," just still trying to get heel heat out there, and saying, you're gonna shake my hand and stuff. And then Lyra had enough of it and hit her finisher onto Becky and walked off. Then
Yeah, Bryce. I don't know, man. It's
I
just
think it'll be one
believable.
more. I think it's gonna be one more match though.
Yeah, let's get it out the way. Put it on Raw or something. We don't need to keep on, you know, dragging out this feud. I know they best friend, not best friends, but I know they very, very close to each other in real life, and I think this is the reason why this feud been going on like this because Becky's trying her best to get Lyra over and everything by being in the same facility of her, but it's just not working, Becky. It's just certain people is just not gonna get over or not now. It's just not her time. I'm not gonna probably say that she not gonna get over, and that'd be bad for me to say that. I don't like saying stuff like that. But I'm just saying it's not now. It's just not now. That's all.
Yeah, and it's like now, yeah, something just ain't clicking right now. So it's gonna be one more match. Maybe some will change, but right now it's just kind of this feud has been really kind of up and down thing for the Battle of Ireland right here. So, like I said, it's not. I'm not surprised. Becky won, but I feel like yeah, it's gonna be one more match. So we'll see what happens after. One other thing, somebody noted this was kind of funny. I know they be putting celebrities, camera on celebrities, but I guess they said what Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian got booed.
Yeah, I saw a look. I heard a little booze. I ain't gonna lie, it wasn't really big. It wasn't really loud or anything like that. But you could hear some, simmering, some little booze and stuff, and I mean, the Kardashians is not like the most popular people.
But yeah, we know that.
And so, of course, if you put a camera on them, especially in a wrestling environment, you gonna get booed. This ain't your thing here. This ain't your crowd. That's what basically what they were saying. This ain't your crowd.
Nah, yeah, like it's like this not it. This ain't y'all. So I just gotta notice that. But now next we actually get into the Money in the Bank match that's coming up. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Pentagon Jr., Andrade, El Grande Americano, and wow, I just forget the last person's yeah, Solo Sokoa, 40 Money in the Bank, briefcase. I know they had Paul Heyman out there with him. Can I just say Andrade just feels like the oddest man out of this whole thing. I'm actually surprised he was in Money in the Bank again. And when I remember we talked about this last year, he came out to no reaction. It was kind of the same thing right here.
And it was a couple of people that I was looking at. What I had broke down the field where they had showed the match card graphic. I looked at it. I like, well, here's the thing. I broke it down like this. Three of those guys are just fillers. And you want to know who those three was? You got
Andrade.
Andrade is one. Americano with two, and I forgot who else I said in my head that one kind of felt like filler to me.
Solo?
Nah, because Solo had to me because of the bloodline. If the bloodline is still around, to me, they could cheat their way to win. So that's why I always thought I ain't. It was only like probably a 5% chance. Now I ain't giving them no high chance, but as long as you got the bloodline, they could always cheat. So that's why I always kept in my head, Bryce. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Pentagon him?
well, Pentagon, and I wouldn't say Pentagon was a filler. It was like we know that it's definitely not his time yet. I would not say it won't be ever, but it's definitely not now. So that's how I would look at it. What I would look at, the other three that really had a chance. Seth, of course, who won it, and LA Knight. Really, I thought those two really had a chance. And then, like I said, as long as the bloodline is around, it's always a slight chance for Solo. I didn't think he was gonna win ever, but it's always a slight because the bloodline is around.
True. And like to add on to that. But yes, yeah, like to add on to that, yeah, looking at who the individuals were, it's like, yeah, you kind of figured who was gonna win this. Obviously, I got my prediction wrong, going into this thing, but I actually did enjoy this Money in the Bank match, more. Obviously, you saw a lot of crazy spots out there, especially onto the outside, which I felt like this would kind of took Andrade out through a lot of the match. But did you see the ladder like hit him in the nuts?
Oh shit!
Like
No, I
the
did not
latter,
see that.
like because I think one like some I don't know if it was like after they did a dive to the outside, Andrade did a dive because there was like a lot of dives going to the outside of the ring and stuff. But like I think Americano at the ladder, and then like the ladder, you could see like just hits Andrade dead in the nuts then, and I felt like he was kind of gone for a little bit after the match, so you could tell that was very painful and stuff. Like I just noticed that. Also, Solo, like yeah, I give Solo a lot of credit here. Solo, I feel like has kind of become more entertaining and more of a personality now than being the silent badass that folded his arms a lot, being the street champion. Because you notice him trying to do other people's taunts out there, like pentagons and everything, and just acting all cocky.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. And you know why though? That he had to take that character change because Jacob is a better silent, fold his arms up. badass nigga. You know what I'm saying? He's the better badass. You know, I remember y'all telling me this. You receive it like probably like probably a couple of years ago. To be honest with you, I still remember this. And y'all were telling me to wait. Y'all were like, man, wait. Like, hey, Solo probably look like the badass right now, but wait a minute. You know, and I was like, well, who y'all want me to wait for? And you know, y'all told me to wait for Jacob, but I was looking like, you know, I ain't never seen Jacob before. You know what I'm saying? Like this my first, you know, my first look at Jacob was it was on WWE really. You know, I saw pictures of him and everything, but I ain't really never seen no work. And y'all told me to wait, and I did. I waited, and y'all was right. You know, yeah, he is the better one. And so I think Solo has to take that new charactership because it wasn't going to be right. You know, with him being the badass. You know, he you know with you standing next to Jacob.
Oh yeah, because obviously Jacob is a whole different level and a whole different level of aura compared to Solo, which I said that immediately as soon as they brought him in last year of how like just his presence is just screams badass. Like it just does. He's on a whole different level. But like, going through the match though, I know they had like all the ladders set up. I know Andrade did like a sunset bomb onto Americano off the ladder, and Pentagon did like he suplexed Rollins onto the ladder, like leaning onto it, which looked pretty brutal. And even did like the whole Mexican destroyer on Andrade onto the ladder bridge. Then they did that. Um, LA Knight going after Solo. I feel like most of throughout this entire match, and even he had which by the way made a ladder bridge to the outside that'll come into play later on into the match. So watch out for that. You got Americano just hitting multiple German suplexes onto everybody, and then even pulling out the sponsor ladder. And I told my friend the night before this, you know how we got Slim Jim tables right now for WWE? Now we got Fireball ladders. Hell, didn't I send you a picture about next thing we know we're gonna be putting logos on chairs next? It's already happening.
Right.
Advertisement, advertisement, advertisement. So
Yep.
now it's on the ladders. And Americano, he did like the Terry Funk, ladder spin around like an airplane thing out there. Then they did that, and then he started climbing the big ladder and stuff. But Pentagon had stopped him, which he headbutted him then off the ladder. And Pentagon's a little bit loopy, and you can see Americano loading his mask up with the metal plate. Rollins had got up there then, but Pentagon and Rollins are still trying to fight for it. One spot which I felt like it was kind of a little bit convoluted, but what was it? I think it was like LA Knight. He catapulted Americano because like a ladder bridge to the outside, but it looked really slow, and he just kind of jumped over, ran up the ladder then to stop Pentagon, and then Knight just ran up the ladder himself and did a big suplex onto Americano. That was a crazy spot. Like
Yeah.
like that was wild. That was definitely wild. I like that one a lot. But Rollins, he started knocking down Andrade, and Pentagon tried to climb the other side. Um, Andrade and Pentagon ended up getting Pentagon knocked down in after that. Like it was like swinging across, like holding on to it. But they ended up falling. And then next, Seth Rollins rallied for the troops to come out. So we got Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, which I don't know how it comes off on other people's cameras, but I feel like they missed the spear Braun Breaker did onto I think it was like was it Americano at first when he got
Americano, yep.
yeah, it
I
kind of
did miss him. I
yeah, they
did.
they missed it, and Bronson Reed and a tsunami onto Andrade, and Breakers just spearing people, so they basically taking control then. But then as basically like as they took over, Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb, and man, I gotta ask this about Jeff Cobb. Do you think this run is really working for him right now? Because man, I feel like a lot of people are just not feeling Cobb, and him standing next to Jacob is like I think people are expecting Cobb to be like like a big monster badass coming in, but I've seen a lot of people say this guy looks like Grimace. He looks like a very shorter. He looks too short compared to Solo and Jacob. He looks like a fat indie fan out there that just jumped the barricade. Which, by the way, he immediately came out there just to get speared through the barricade. By the way, by Breaker. But looking at him and Jacob, it's just like I don't know, man. Like Cobb, I don't feel like something about it is off ever since he just arrived in WWE. And I know some people feel like they knew it was kind of over for him as soon as he came into WWE. Like, how do you feel about that?
Here's the thing with Jeff. Uh, they giving him wins. Yeah, I see that already. But what they doing is they made him a henchman right off the bat. You know, um,
He's the fall guy.
he the fall guy. You know he gonna be the fall guy. It's Soto the leader, and Jacob is the guy that y'all pushing. Who got to take the fall? Who got to be the one who, like you said, get speared through the barricade? You know, Jacob wasn't gonna take that fall. Especially what they were building to later on that match.
And
But
they, yeah, uh,
yeah, you can't you really can't fault the people for looking at um um Jeff Cobb like that. He does look like a guy who just look off. Like he don't. Like man, he should have came by himself. To be honest with you, uh, I think. Do you think if he would have got over it, he came by himself or something, or
maybe,
attack
maybe,
LA Knight, had a LA Knight versus him feud versus Jeff Cobb feud. Like I don't know, man. I just feel like he should have came by himself.
yeah, because I don't know, just him trying to be part of the whole blood. Oh well, he's from a different island. He's not even he's Hawaiian, but like not even near Samoan and all that. We're just gonna add other islanders in. And I'm not really a fan of the name change also, even though I've seen some people say, well, Jeff Cobb is not a very tough name.
But it been working for him forever.
Like it worked in New Japan, so like did we really need to change it in WWE? Like I didn't really think they needed to, but I just feel like it's been kind of it does feel like it's been dead on arrival for him ever since he got to the WWE. Like it just something about it just ain't working. It just ain't working. And to add on to, they made sure Breaker and Jacob did not even touch each other. Like they made sure about that for over 6 months now. Um, I know Jacob ended up taking out Bronson Reed with a big pop up Samoan drop, and then he did the dive on everybody, and then he started helping Solo in the ring, then trying to get up the ladder and stuff. But then he started holding on to his leg because they end up doing the whole, evolution, Batista thing, which I know I've had some debates with people. They feel like they kind of rushed this a little instead of kind of letting it milk and wait. Because, like, the whole when Evolution and, Batista here in the, background when Triple H and Flair were talking about him, but it was like with, Solo and Cobb and Jacob her in the background, and then when he held onto his leg, Solo was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, what are you doing? And then Solo said, Jacob says, "I hate you," "I hate you, Solo." And then he pulled him off, super kicked him, did the moonsault, and then hit a big like Uranagi to like the bridge ladder, then taking him out, and just walked away after that. So I knew this was gonna happen. Like I just knew that Jacob was gonna end up turning on him to make sure he wasn't gonna win in Money in the Bank. I know some say they should have probably waited on it and let it milk, but I just knew it was gonna happen. But LA Knight had got in and was climbing the ladder, but Seth Rollins ended up stopping him and knocking him into the ladder and curb stomped him. And he climbed up, and now Seth Rollins is a two-time Money in the Bank winner. At first I told you before the obvious choice was going to be Seth winning. I thought I'm like, you know what? I think I thought LA Knight was gonna really get it, but no, they did not pull the. I thought it was gonna happen, especially when LA Knight was on SmackDown saying third time's the charm. But nah, we're going with Seth again because obviously he's going after the world title. Which I'm be honest, Seth doesn't really need this Money in the Bank thing. He can just get the world title on his own and just need Money in the Bank. I really kind of thought LA Knight was gonna take it, but nah, they went with Seth again. But it was like the obvious choice going into. I actually thought Punk was gonna come out.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought Punk was gonna come out too. Um, I guess they left it for the two big factions. You didn't really want to have everybody come out. I guess they just wanted to have just the two. I mean, not the two, the four main henchmen for the two leaders to come out and help the leaders out. I think it was. I thought it was a good match. You know, real
I enjoyed
talk.
it.
I enjoyed it. My favorite spot was the with the Canadian destroyer, that motherfucker ladder bridge. That was my favorite spot right there. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I liked
I,
LA Knight running up the ladder and doing the suplex on the Gable Kano there.
and you know, he man, he ran up. That was. I would have probably slipped the field. He
I
did
said
that. That was a good balance right there.
that was another guy working double duty that day.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, man. Hey, these are people who they, look towards to do those type of things. Like, man, hey, Gable, can you work twice? And it wasn't like he had a quick match in the Triple A show. That was a long match, and he was doing moonsaults off the turbo I mean, through tables and all that stuff during that match. So man, big up to Chad Gable, man. Chad Gable, that was a good that was good that he did both of those shows.
No, that's true. That's true. But do you think LA Knight will get King of the Ring now? Maybe.
He better get something though. It's at the point that yeah, you have people cheering for him and everything, but man, my goodness, they waiting for him to go to the main event scene now. And if he can't get there and to be at least at the championship picture, that I don't know how long the fans gonna be cheering for the man.
Yeah, it's only so long you can keep people chasing until because if they don't ever win like the big one or something, they keep chasing and people start, they stop believing in after a while.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Because I thought he
And,
was gonna get Money in the Bank.
yeah, and to be honest with you, he is my pick right now to get the men's King of the Ring because at this point, I don't know what else they doing with him.
Like he can't go back for the U.S. title. Like he gotta go for the big one.
Yeah.
Like how much time you gonna keep waiting with this? Because I thought this was gonna be the time, but it's like, we're going with Seth, and it's the storyline right now. So there you go. But yeah, I thought LA Knight was really gonna get it here. So yeah, maybe King of the Ring. I'm gonna assume that's gonna be next. So we'll see what happens then after that. Also, they announced WrestleMania being in Vegas again this year. I mean next year, which I just kind of laughed when I saw that, which just makes me think like, then why did you all even say it was in New Orleans to begin with, just to take it away and then go back to Vegas? Well, we made so much money in Vegas, so we're gonna go back. Yeah, and that show wasn't even all that this year, so I laughed when I saw that promo with Triple H. Like, it's worth doing twice. Yeah, okay, we're gonna double down.
Here's the thing. I think I was listening to Jim Cornette, and I really agreed that I think it's a battle of who got the most money.
Who can be it the most?
Uh-huh. You heard the show. And so, who could bid the most? Who go have the most money? I think WrestleMania and all these shows, you know what I'm saying, are going to the biggest bidder. So I think, once Las Vegas heard that they had WrestleMania over there in New Orleans, they probably called them up like, hey, we're gonna give you more money. You know what I'm saying? So I just think right now at this point, like you got to turn away your fans doing stuff like this. Like man, what about the fans in New Orleans who couldn't like was just thinking about it? Like oh my god, if I could get these tickets, man, WrestleMania is gonna be here in New Orleans. And then to turn around and not have the show at New Orleans anymore. Like
We'll
yeah,
give you Money in the Bank next year, though. We'll give you a consolation prize.
a constellation prize. You can have money in the bank.
Let's give
Wow.
you a C level show, or sorry, B level. Well, maybe yeah, B level. Let's say B level.
Wow, that's just so that is so exciting. Like,
So yeah,
nah.
they kind of I feel like they had kind of conned in a way, but it's like no, we're gonna go back to Vegas. I'm like nigga, what? Why would I go back there again for? Like and like same stuff, but like money. So there you go. I just laughed when I saw that little segment with for Mania. So I laughed about that. But we do get into the main event next though. A tag team match. Cody Rhodes and the world champion Jey Uso versus the WWE champion John Cena and Logan Paul. Um, I don't think the match was bad. Um, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like, we're gonna get to the biggest part about this match in a second, okay? But like from just the match itself, I didn't think it was bad. I know people are mostly gonna talk about Logan Paul's moonsault off the announce table, everything, or Jay doing like a spear onto Cena on one of the announce tables, which didn't break by the way too. Well, I feel like the moonsault looked brutal, but looking at the match itself, like I said, the heels had to get heat, and there was like points where John Cena and Logan Paul kept arguing with each other to see who was gonna get in the ring. Say, you need to listen to me, you need to listen to me, and stuff, and all that. But so like Cody and them ended up getting the advantage and stuff. Then, like what did you think about like just the overall match itself? Before we get into the biggest part of this whole thing.
The way I thought it was going to be. Um, and John Cena, what gonna be the guy who go have the slow part of the match, the methodical, slow pace match part. But once the other three get in, they're gonna quick, you gotta speed up a little bit because you got guys who can speed the match up a little bit.
Yeah, John was
I
working like more of a heel, trying to use the methodical
mm,
pace.
yeah, I agree with you, Bryce. Yeah, he was used to that. He was used to that type of heel tactic. It was okay. It was a match of what I thought it was going to be. It was more about the stars of the show. I mean, the stars of the match instead of the match itself. You feel me on that? Like you could put these four guys. It's more about the people in the match instead of the match itself. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, because when I was going into this whole thing, especially when Cody Rhodes came back and said like I want a tag team match, like don't you want the WWE title back? Like why do you want a tag match for? And in Jey Uso's case, I'm like, why aren't we doing Jey Uso and Gunther on the pay per view? Why are we doing waiting until Raw to do this for the title match? So I just thought it was like, why do we need to have this tag match? But I get what you mean by the star power and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you like the drone stuff, by the way, with Logan Paul holding on to the drone and taking a suplex from it with it in his hand?
Look, I don't know how many stuff that he gonna do that just gonna try to get this social media pop. That's all this stuff is, right? It's
Viral
social media.
moments.
Yeah, viral moments. Remember the when he was holding the phone and did a move saw with the phone. Like, come on, like, like, can we just get a just okay? We know that you gonna get viral. Look, just had the match. That's how I felt about that part. I kind of like moaned throughout that, like, oh my goodness, this goofy stuff.
I
That's
feel
how.
like I feel like they put him with Cena so Cena can get some heat.
But it wasn't working because guess what? We directed that heat towards him. It ain't gonna be towards you, John. So it ain't gonna work.
So I was like, well, if he associates with Cena, Cena will get some heat then.
Mm.
And I didn't feel like that was all the way. It's like, yeah, people just don't like Logan Paul. Like they still kind of still cheered Cena at the same time. So I get what they were trying to do, but it's only gonna work so much, and I don't think it really worked all the way. But let's get into the big part about this whole thing, because
Hmm.
let me ask you this important question. And I know I feel like I've talked about this all night with people. Do you feel worked?
Um, I mean, I'm glad I didn't do as much as the other fans did. I didn't. As me and you were talking about it, you could tell by my not talking about this, but talking about our troop release, you could tell that I really wasn't like all beat up about it. You know what I'm saying? Not no disrespect to Troop, anything like that, but you know, when I heard that he was released, I didn't go on the uproar like the other fans did on the internet by saying that yes, I do feel work, because I really thought it was real. You know what I'm saying? It sounded very real. Right after that, Carlito was gone, so that kind of made it felt real. Then it felt real after hearing Carlito was gone. Right after our troop, it was like it kind of felt real to us. Oh man, dang, they got rid of Carlito too. Shit. he get it. They going down at WWE. You know, I felt work to a certain extent, but you know who you should be asking, right? All those people on the internet, do they feel work? The ones who were going crazy. Oh my goodness, they would have never. Vince would have never let him go. How dare you, Triple H? F you, Triple H. All that stuff. Do they feel work? Cause they do. They probably silent right now.
Like going into this, especially like you said, how they were released, because I think people was in such an uproar given how okay, he faced Cena and then like he just did one match on SmackDown and he was gone because he wasn't even gone a whole week. He was gone for like 6 days. And I know it's been a lot of reports about, they came to a new deal contract in like 72 hours. And at first I'm kind of sitting like, so we working releases now? Like, and they've done this before when it comes to working release. The last person I remember them like doing a worked release was Rockstar Spud Drake Maverick there a few years ago. They
Yeah, I
did
remember
that.
that.
That
I
was a
remember that.
and I was like, so we working with releases now, even though y'all really did get rid of a lot of people, but we're gonna make his a work. And now it's like, so Truce is a work, and now everybody's kind of going on about either A, it's like this. One, they feel like WWE caved into the pressure that they had no choice but to hire our truth back. But then again, you gotta really kind of sit there and think about this if it was the plan. Because how come immediately when Truth comes back, which by the way, we're not even saying our Truth, he's back to being Ron Killings. If it's gonna be him being serious again, then hey, I'm all for it. But why is like 5 minutes after he comes back, you got merchandise out for him already? Because even like I was speaking to my friend last night, like when it comes to business, like yeah, it's like you can't just renegotiate a contract like that in 72 hours, and like they've already had to have like a whole bunch of stuff signed and made and done mass production to even have all this merchandise out
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah,
And
and definitely. And not to cut you off, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, I heard reports where they were trying to continue to work us too, because they still try to continue to work us. Even though I heard reports that, oh my God, Nick Khan had to call him personally to get him to sign a new contract and stuff like that. So yeah, they still try to work us, and I'm like, man, come on now, like you or Steven just said, we not idiots here. You know what I'm saying? At least I'm not. You know what I'm saying? At least y'all not. You know what I'm saying? Like we know that to to get merchandise out, you're gonna have to make sure you get the catchphrase, whatever you put it on the shirt, design the shirt, get it out there, mass produce it. That's gonna take a while. And so yes, they are. They are. But here's the thing. Yeah, that can be a little off-putting. But at the same time, they do it. They do it all the time, though. Not do it to that certain extent. Like let's go to NXT. Tatum Pasley over here crying, fake crying about her friends being released. How do that make you feel as a person who was released watching that show? She over here fake crying about you being released. That's not. Hey, we gonna use that as a storyline. We gonna use your real release for her to fake cry about on a show, so we can use her to further her character. Come on, man. And so that they do it in a lot of different ways, but it's still off-putting.
Yeah, especially like working some, because now people are, well, maybe Carlito will be back now and stuff like, or like anybody else that got released will be back. I'm like, no. And then again, it was like, see, Truth release had a lot of traction online because I didn't go look at the WWE website because well his name was never even moved to the alumni section. It was still up there on the page, so I didn't know that. I didn't really go and look at it and
I
stuff.
ain't look at that type of stuff either. But I don't think they came to the pressure though. I just think it was in the work.
Because even
Yeah.
yeah, it was already in the works. Not to cut you off, but even my friend said last night people want to go on like, people like what are like YouTubers like what that WrestleMania dude trying to say our voices have been heard. They listen to us. I'm like, no,
No.
they didn't listen to you. It's like, dude, the same people saying to listen to you are the same people that are paying like $400 nosebleed seats trying to say they listened to us. It was work the whole time, and I heard what Triple H said even after, like, "Oh yeah, it was part of the plan after all along and stuff." Which he's got to be a little bit tongue in cheek, cocky, like, "Yeah, man, I came up with." I was like, "Hey, I got him. I fooled the
I
people and
mean,
stuff." And
I
even
mean, he
even
got
like
us. He
and
did.
even
Ain't no ifs and buts about it though.
but even like with which is kind of funny now because when it comes like you said the internet and everything, and y'all know Triple H said like, I don't listen to the internet, but like, dude, you kind of had to listen to the internet with some of this shit. Like, it's not like he hasn't listened to the internet before and make changes due to you know, not saying this time with fan backlash, but it's not like we know he's
He
reading the internet.
and don't get me wrong, you know he is because slowly he's slowly trying to step up his game. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing: he's slowly trying to step it up a little bit because you were hearing us saying that, man, boy, y'all kind of fell flat after last year WrestleMania, not this past WrestleMania, last year WrestleMania. Y'all kind of were falling flat since then. And you heard us then, so you knew you had to do something to shake us up a little bit, like, make us talk. So it's like, hey, pat yourself on the back. You did a good job on this one. You are, you deserve a pat on the back. But at the same time here, don't act like you been just batted a dousing. You have it. You have it, bro. You know, so I, how I look at it is, you know, it's good for right now. People talking. Let's see how they go to continue it.
Yeah, with like Ron Killings, because I felt like going because I feel like, and I don't when I watched Monday, I didn't really hear a lot of "We Want Truth" chants. I didn't really hear it till like SmackDown and like Against All Odds then from Friday. I didn't really hear it on Monday. That and just looking at the excuse me, like not the chants, but like I said with the reaction to it, because everybody was even talking about like, why would our Truth just go and say, WWE wouldn't even say anything about his release, but Truth is the one to come out and say something like, I got released. And I'm not saying all the people that reacted, like the roster or people, just in wrestling in general, reacted and stuff and said that, they were all in on it and everything. Because I do believe people just really thought he got released, but it's like, why would he say it and not the WWE?
Yeah.
And especially the like Truth of all people to go out like that, like, okay, we're just gonna say your release online and go on about it and act like you haven't been there in the company for a very, very long time and just got off this important storyline. Well, back on with this storyline now with John Cena and stuff.
Don't get me wrong. It's like that was like I said, it was a good job because they had other people talking. It wasn't just us as the fans. They had people like Barry Corbin out there talking. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a lot of people.
Ricochet.
Ricochet. You know what I'm saying? Like they that kind of made people look at it like, man, dang, this real. Everybody over here talking about it. You know, I I just felt like how they did it was the best way. I understand what you're saying though, Bray, but I feel like how they did it was the best way. because they made it. They released them like it was like a soulless machine. Like they didn't care. Oh, he released, so what? Who cares? They made it look like TKO did it because TKO don't have that, you know what I'm saying, that connection to Ron Killings or, R True. They didn't have that connection to R True. So they didn't really care too much. So they released them. That's how they made it look, you know.
I
And
get
I
I get
like
what you
that.
mean. I get what you mean because like even when he came out, I figured it was him already the minute he jumped in the ring with the hoodie on. Because like, come on, what other black person about to like like you can see it's a black person in the ring. Like you can see his skin and everything. So you knew it was him. Cause I kind of like I was sitting there like I figured he probably gonna be back. Like I said, it wasn't even a whole week. So it's like when he showed up, I was like, I wasn't too surprised because I was like, oh, he's back. But in the same time, it's like I don't think this was like due to the fans like just getting immediately pissed off that they had to cave into the pressure. Like I said, it was all planned because I've just seen all this, like you just said earlier, like all the stuff of 72 hours and Nick Khan. So like they really renegotiate a new contract and paid him more money then because of not because they were apparently lowballing him and stuff. And everybody said, "Well, you should have seen more of the people reacting and why we didn't hear that much or truth going on, saying more." Because a lot of people thought that he was either going to AEW or TNA. A lot of people thought he was going to go there and stuff. But now it's like I said, it's not even our truth anymore. Now it's Ron Killings again now. So it's like I said, if it gets more of a serious truth finally, yeah, I'm all for it. I know a lot of people are not gonna be the biggest fan of like working a release because it's like yeah, you all have released people before. Can everybody say, oh, well, maybe Carlito's like I said, maybe Carlito's releases will work. And I'm like, I don't think this is on the same level. He's just really gone.
Yeah. I think he just really, yeah, like you said, I think he just really gone.
So yeah, like that's how I look at it. But yeah, well, like I said, it got people talking, so we'll see what happens next. Because like I said, after he came out, Cody at the Crossroads on Cena, and you know, um, Cody and them won from there. So now they can all say like, yeah, we got truth back and all that stuff. So that's the thing. Um, Overall thought on the show.
Um, yeah, like I said, well, remember what how I was talking earlier. I ain't really changed my mind. I really think this was really a okay show, and really to me, not even okay, a below average show.
Middle of the
Um,
road, if you ask me.
yeah, because I say the men's Money in the Bank was a good match, and what what happened at the end was surprising. But other than that, I don't. It really was just a middle of the road pay per view to me. I really did really look at it as a good pay per view. It was just middle of the road. Like I said, it was the third best show of the weekend. That's,
And I agree because let me just say this and like I said, other than the true stuff and Money in the Bank match with Seth winning, that's probably like the most things to talk about. Naomi winning good also, but I don't think the match was really all that. I did not need to see Dominic versus Octagon. That just felt like a waste of time. And Becky and Berger was just kind of whatever, but I already knew Becky was gonna win. And like I said, the fans didn't really come on to like maybe almost like an hour or two later into the show because it looked empty. But like just going into it, like when I'm seeing people give out like 8 out of 10s and stuff, I'm like, no, this show is definitely not all that like everyone cracks it up to be. Yeah, you got people talking, but that's mostly because of the ending and our truth. That's the most thing that got people talking. But as from an overall standpoint, no, I wouldn't put this show on that high of a grade.
yeah, like I said, 4 out of 10 for me. Really wasn't that good. Very forgettable pay per view. People not going to be talking about it after a while. Give it another week, people gonna forget about it. And I just can't really say too much about it.
Yeah, it was just only a few storyline stuff to really say, or if the match was really good, or all that. But most of it has just been just the truth thing and wondering if people got worked in that.
Yeah, that's about it though. That's what everybody still talking about. That it was it a work, was it a shoot, and all that stuff. That that's all they talking about. That's all people want to talk about. They not gonna talk about the Lyra versus Becky match after the two Money in the Bank winners. They not gonna really talk about the match. Really, probably the men's match. If you because the men's match was kind of good. Um, Definitely gonna forget about the Octagon and Dominic match. Nobody really cared about that match because it just came up 3 hours before the pay per view. So nobody really cared. Nobody was looking for it. Nobody checking for it. So yeah.
No, yeah, like I said, like yeah, Money in the Bank. And I'll say this before we go. Like I think one thing when it comes to a lot of these WWE shows, like dang, you're doing a pay-per-view almost every 2 to 3 weeks. Like you already got the Saudi thing like later on this month. So I don't know, these pay-per-views just kind of come by so fast. It's like you don't have enough time to build them all, especially in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know, right? 2, 3 weeks every pay per view. Come on, man. Are we playing universe mode here?
Yeah,
Like,
because
oh.
like they be kind of going a little bit too fast. You don't give it time to build. So that's how I look at it. But yeah, other than that, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Hooded Night 890. Do you have anything to say before we go?
No, man, no. Just follow me on Twitter, Straight Face 40. Um, that's about it, man. This show really zapped the energy out of me.
Yeah, and like I said, until the like the fourth match in the show, that's when I started to see things build up. Like was starting to get up there. Like it was getting more exciting then. So yeah, that's how I look at it. But other than that, we out of here. Hopefully the next time we come on here, it will be all in.
Yeah, I'll review all in with you.
Definitely all in because it's going to be a lot of shows going on that weekend. But that is the main show to actually watch because I feel like that's the biggest show out of the whole weekend because they already got to compete with like three WWE shows as it is. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, other than that, we out of here and peace.